A and point B is a story. The distance between our future and our history is a story. The distance between you and me is a story. Hi, my name is Reena Bhojwani, and I believe that my family and I are all like florets of a cauliflower. Or perhaps I should say broccoli, given the color of my attire today. Every family is known for something. And us Bhojwanis seem to have a storytelling fractal going on. So for those of us unfamiliar, a fractal is a geometrical phenomenon where a pattern repeats itself, but at a slightly smaller scale. So I was born into a family of storytellers. It was destiny, as if it was written in the genetic code that was pre-programmed in my blood. But I just didn't know it. So what's the big deal about storytelling? And why are stories so important? What's a story? In my humble opinion, a story is an account of something that has happened, is currently happening, or will happen to one or more characters in a specific place and time, whether fictional or not. But stories are so much more than that. Stories hold our traditions and our culture. Stories hold our possibilities and alternative realities. We've all come from stories, and that's what we'll all eventually be, a story. Let me tell you some stories. My father was the only person in his Jaipur neighborhood to go to an English medium school. The fifth of 8 siblings, he quickly turned into my grandfather's favorite because of all his achievements. He was very different from the rest of the pack. To start with, he was a bookworm. While the rest of his siblings chose to go out to play, he chose to read books. He'd read during the day, and at night or in the evening, he would gather together all the kids in the neighborhood, get them to sit down, and start spinning his yarn. He'd start out by narrating something that he read, but slowly he'd add his own masala. He'd add a twist here and a turn there, and before they knew it, there was some crazy story spinning into action. But it didn't matter what he said, because he just knew how to hold their attention, and they kept sitting at the edge of their seat, waiting for more, lapping it all up. He made sure to end at a cliffhanger, knowing that they'd want to return the next day. Poor things, they were hooked. He continued doing the storytelling throughout his life, practicing on his children, people at the temple, his friends, his family, and he didn't even leave the children at the harbor school alone. He went there as Uncle Madhur, the storyteller, and told them stories about Lychee Cock Amusement Park, which the kids and maybe even their parents had never heard of. Now, can you imagine the silence he left behind when he passed away? My mother is a different kind of storyteller. She prefers to tell cautionary tales so dramatic and so disturbing that you would not want to do the alternative of what she suggested. I remember before I went off to university, she told me a story about someone that opened up a pressure cooker before it had cooled down. Now, my degree was 3 years long, and it took me 2.5 years to pluck up the courage to cook with a pressure cooker. And the first time I did it, my housemate came into the house with the scene of me holding a towel over my head, a wooden spoon in hand, praying to the kitchen gods that the vessel wouldn't explode. It's okay, breathe, I'm fine, I was fine, and I cook pretty well with the pressure cooker now. I'll spare you the story of what happened to the lady that went ice skating, and more importantly, what happened to her teeth. But I will say this much. I'm in my 30s. In fact, it's my birthday today. But I still haven't gone ice skating. She's that good. Actually, it used to bother me that she used to tell these tales, but after a while I realized they are drenched in equal parts love and equal parts fear of losing me. After all she's lost already, can you blame her? Did I mention my brother was a poet? He had a knack for rhyme, and he knew what to say all the time. In fact, every birthday, he would create a story. He would create a rap for us and a poem in his own special way, and he'd tell it to us right on the day. Those poems would create laughter and tears of joy, and he'd never miss a chance to tease us with a poem. When he passed, I used to wake up every night between the hours of 2 and 4 a.m., and I'd write down whatever musings came to my mind. And then every Wednesday, like clockwork, I would go to Peel Street Poets, find these musings, choose one, brush it up, and share. When I found out about the poetry slam competition, I joined, but I didn't even place in the finals that first year. I went back the next year, and I said, let me channel my brother's energy. I said, come Rajesh, let's do this together. So we did. We went to the competition together, me and his energy. We had a prompt that night, replicate, and 10 minutes to create a poem on the spot and then present it. And we did. And we won. I say we because I wouldn't have had the courage to do it by myself, but he did. And together, we did. The winning poem, too, is published online with Cha Literary Journal. And yes, it rhymes. My sister is a dancer. And I used to follow her like her tail, doing almost everything she did. Until I realized that I don't actually like doing Bharatanatyam, which is a South Indian classical dance form. I mean, it's great, but I wasn't good at it. I wasn't as agile as the other dancers, you see. But I did learn that I was very expressive. And together we were fascinating to watch, allowing the music to do its job while our bodies and our faces did ours. Without words on our lips, we performed dramatic stories, and we still do, except it's a little difficult for her to do so with her injury now. We do what we can. The newer members of our family have adapted well to our storytelling fractal. My sister-in-law prefers to tell stories with facts in them, and she looks for facts in other people's stories. While my niece, our resident chatterbox, likes to create stories out of anything. She'll make a connection that you would never dream of and create a story on the spot. I challenge you to keep up with those stories. One thing I've learned from my whole family is that it doesn't matter who's telling the story, and it doesn't matter what language or form it's told in. What matters is that the story is told, because the story being passed to the listener will do its magic as needed and resonate the way it needs to. So that brings us to me. What's my story? I'm a fractal of all of their perspectives, a unique blend of all their talents combined into one. I'm the carrier of our family legacy. It's my job to pass down the Bhojwani blend, the gift of the gap. Did you realize that whilst introducing each member of the family, I also supplied additional details? I told you stories within each story. As an actor, writer, performer, teacher, and dancer, albeit not a very good one, I feel like I have a duty, and that duty is to share the importance of telling stories. Because someone out here right now, more talented than me, might be second-guessing themselves. And because someone less talented than me was out there, grabbing opportunities that could have been mine if I'd allowed myself to let my light shine. So on that note, I would like to share with you a poem. It's called Sunbeam. I have a sunbeam. Sometimes it looks like lemon cream. A glow ball that bounces like a 3-year-old in my heart, waiting for a surprise, beating and screaming in its own unique voice. I have a sunbeam. Sometimes it silently sulks, watching me, stagnant, in sorrow, chewing on the marrow of sour moments, gnawing knowingly, until the purple-gray stench has chipped away. I have a sunbeam. Sometimes it softly flicks flecks of moisture from my cheeks, lifts my chin up to the sky, and asks me if I've heard of a glorious tune called Tomorrow. I have a sunbeam. It smells like dry roasted almonds, drizzled with honey caramel. It licks at me, stickily, purrs a furry, soft sound. I have a sunbeam, but I don't know how to tell anyone. Should I? What will they say? What will they think? Do you have a sunbeam? Should I lend you mine? But will it light you up in the same way? Or will it bring out the shadows under your eyes? Or will it do something you least expect? Inspire you. Like now, guess what? You have a sunbeam. Just like you have a story, or 10 million, waiting to be shared. Every breathing moment of ours is a story. The question is, how do we choose to share it? And what are we trying to achieve? Do we want to be like my mother and scare the living daylights out of someone? Do we want to be like my father and captivate? Or like my brother and entertain? Or like my sister and just express? Maybe like my sister-in-law looking for facts and truths? Or like my niece looking for connection? I named my company Inspired Muse because I believe I'm constantly being inspired and that I can educate, entertain, and inspire others through my musings so they feel encouraged to do the same. My students always ask me, how do you write a good story? We don't have anything interesting to tell. And I always just remind them, you need to sprinkle a little bit of reality into your fiction. Keeps things interesting. It's our mundane moments that are fascinating to others because they don't live our lives. They just receive a small slice of it, a slice we choose to give, and we can edit it in any way we choose. What I love about telling personal stories most is that you can edit the way we do, and just the way I used to remove jelly pieces from Black Forest cakes. No one knows, and no one needs to know all the details. We are a once-in-a-lifetime creation with our own perspective on life. There will never be another you. Even identical twins differ slightly in their birth charts, thought patterns, and tendencies. No one will see things the way you do. No one makes the same associations you do. No one is frightened by the same fears as you, and no one is excited by the same curiosities either. No one will make the exact same mistakes, nor will they go away with the lessons that you choose to take away from them. In other words, no one processes the world the way you do. So when someone asks you to tell a story, make sure you seize the opportunity and have faith that the story will leave your lips in such a way that it will echo in the ears of your audience for a long time. End of story.